Gloucester made international headlines on the news of teenage pregnancy. And I learned two lessons from what happened in Gloucester and to Gloucester. And the first lesson is about how the liberal left collided with the conservative right in our high school and precipitated media attention that was devastating to our city and to the families involved. The second lesson is about how simplistic, in many ways dishonest, the discourse in this country has become. Let me explain what I mean. On the first point, in our high school we had a doctor whose answer to the spike in teenage pregnancy was to prescribe birth control without parental consent. At the same time, we had a high school principal who basically said, contraception will never be distributed in our high school. So you had that mix of the left and the right. You had the media enter the picture, and it went kaboom. The doctor resigned in protest because he couldn't give girls prescription contraception without parents knowing. He took his case to the media. Time magazine picked up the story and reported on June 19th that there was a pact among teenagers, and therefore, according to the principal, birth control wouldn't have made a difference. Then, moral panic spread across the globe. The media from around the world descended upon my city. Teenagers in Gloucester, pregnant or not, were being hunted down on our beaches, at McDonald's, on our boulevard. They were sought out with bribes. They were sought out on Facebook and MySpace. Their homes were cold calls based on information that was contained in the high school yearbook. And as it became clear that there was no pact, I decided that I had to change the arc of the story. I held a press conference that was carried live on national television on June 23rd, and I stood up to defend the privacy of the teenagers of Gloucester and their families. After the press conference, mail and email from all over the country poured into my office. The liberal left pushed birth control without parental consent. The Christian right pushed abstinence and demonized me for not blaming and shaming our children. And closer to home, our girls were ridiculed in a neighboring parade. Thank you, Mayor Scanlon and Mayor Driscoll, for standing with me to say that that is completely and was completely unacceptable. Nothing could have prepared me for the hate that was shown to my city and to myself. And so the first lesson is this. The challenge that I'm being asked to rise to at this moment is, as an elected official, to guard due process, to demonstrate tolerance, and to insist on rational debate and deliberation when solving our problems. The left or the right can't be allowed to hijack local decision-making. The second lesson can be summed up in two words: Sarah Palin. John McCain really should have spoken to me before selecting Governor Palin of Alaska to be his running mate. I could have warned him that if he had a pregnant teenager anywhere near his ticket, that all intelligent discussion was going to vanish on the issues. The case in point, the press conference that I held was carried live on CNN and bumped John McCain, who was giving his energy policy speech, while I addressed the nation on teenage pregnancy. But maybe that was the point. Change the subject. Go from substance to sex. And the simplicity and the dishonesty of that national discourse staggers me. In the Gloucester example, ideological extremes took over truth and reason. And regarding the media coverage, we just didn't have a spin master to spin the story the way the Pollen story is being spun now. So the second lesson that I learned is that all of us as leaders in our communities and business leaders have to keep the dialogue focused on the substantial and not the simple, on the issues and not the spin. The dialogue about all of the important issues facing my city: fiscal management and control, protecting our bond rating, shrinking services, cuts in education, the need for over $100 million in infrastructure spending on water and sewer. It's all been dwarfed by the dialogue around teens having sex and getting pregnant. And as mayor, it's very difficult to engage the public on the substantial, important issues. This morning, Dr. Wayne Burton, I want to thank you and the Chamber of Commerce for giving us the opportunity to really listen and learn and talk about some of the substantial issues that are facing our communities. And I thank you for the opportunity to share my perspective from Gloucester, and firmly believe that the success of all of our communities depends on the success of the region. I've learned more than you can imagine in these 8 months as the mayor of Gloucester, and hopefully the hardest lessons are behind me. Thank you.